Okay, so we have our first worksheet, and typically the worksheets aren't these many questions, but both this section and the next section, the questions are going to be a bit short. So it's things you just look at, oh, here's the answer, or some slight computation. Okay, the first one is, which of the following are acute, obtuse, or right? Well, you can kind of right off the bat see that the right triangle or the right angle is that one there because it's the squared off little indicator. It's not an arc like these are. So that's the only one of the three that is a right angle, or only one of the four that is a right angle. Obtuse is angles over 90 degrees and under 180. Um, Acute is less than 90 degrees. And the first and the fourth would be acute. And that leaves the number 3 to be obtuse. Okay, next up, sketch an angle that is 45 degrees, minus 45 degrees. That's a sad looking line. Okay, well, I'm not looking for precision here. We don't have a protractor, but I just want to get you an idea of what it could possibly be. So minus means we're going to be going in a clockwise manner. Remember, if you're going in a counterclockwise manner, that's positive. Clockwise is negative. And 45 degrees is half of 90. 90 is right angle, so it's going to be halfway between the positive x-axis to the negative y-axis. So halfway in between there will be 45 degrees, or 45 degree, well, that's not 45 degrees. 45 degrees is about like that. And then because we're going from the positive x-axis to this, you have minus 45 degrees is there. And even though I didn't ask this, I just wanted to bring it up, is we can actually come up with a coterminal angle, and that would be 315 degrees. And all you do is just add in 360 degrees to minus 45. And I bring this up because in the next section, we're going to be dealing with more coterminal angles. And I just wanted to show there's a relationship between a negative angle and a positive angle. You can actually have a negative angle and a positive angle having the same coterminal side. Okay, next up is sketch a graph that is, or sketch an angle rather, that is 120 degrees. Well, 120 is between 90 and 180, so it's going to be an obtuse angle. And 120 is not immediately halfway between 90 and 180. 90 degrees is up here, 180 is over there at 0 degrees. 120 isn't the midpoint. It's actually closer to 90 degrees. The actual midpoint between 90 and 180 would be 135. If you average those two, you get 135. So even though I didn't ask for it, this would be 135 degrees. So it's going to be between 90 and 135. And because 120 is closer to 135 than it is 90, the terminal side should be right about there. So I would say this is approximately 120 degrees. Now, if you notice, I did say sketch, which means I know you're not going to be precise on this. I wasn't expecting you to break out a protractor, but you should know the general area where 120 degrees will fall if the initial side is the positive x-axis. Positive x-axis, 120 would be right about here. Okay, next up are 35 degrees and minus 325 degrees coterminal. Well, the book says if you can add a multiple of 360 to one, you would get the other. I like looking at the difference and showing it's a multiple. So if we look at 35 degrees minus 325 degrees, you get 35 degrees plus 325 degrees, and that is 360 degrees. And that is a multiple of 360. It's a multiple of 1. 1 times 360 is 360. So we do have coterminal. Then our 170 and 510 coterminal. Well, here we're going to subtract. And I typically choose the one that's more positive. 510 is larger than 170. Over here on the previous one, 35 is larger than minus 325. And the reason why I do that is just my math OCD. Because when you take something larger and subtract something smaller, you get something positive. I could easily work with something negative, but it just soothes my math OCD to deal with something positive. Okay, so 510, oops, let's go to green. 510 minus 170. Well, that's going to be 340 degrees. And this is not a multiple of 360. And when I say a multiple, we're talking about integer multiple. So it'd be like 2 times 100, or 360, 10 times 360, minus 5 times 360, minus 1 times 360, 1 times 360. But we're not talking about like 2/7 times 360. Okay, so that's it for the first worksheet.